Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Today we're going to talk about Jenny Powell. Jenny Powell is in the news this week. She was beaten up. She's 85 years old. She lives alone. She once lived in a caravan in Dublin 15. Somebody done a crowdfund for her, and she now lives in a kind of a cabin. It's more livable probably than the caravan. I knew Jenny probably maybe 27 years ago. She used to read fortunes at the weekend on Grafton Street at night time, and myself and my friends used to sit with her and joke with her and play with the dogs and whatever. She has about 5 dogs. She has goats, and she's got a horse, I believe, now as well. But she was beaten up anyway. Someone broke in, 5 men broke in. One was a dark man, she said, and the 4 other lads were 4 fat white men. That's how she described them. But poor Jenny anyway, they hit her with a hammer in the head and they burst her head open. So what can be done?
She's in hospital at the moment.
No, she refuses to go to hospital. That's the kind of person she is. She's very, very independent. And I'm sure the reason she probably doesn't go to hospital is because she fears that they'll basically rob everything she has.
Right, so she is eccentric. I think you were saying she was...
She'd be a little bit eccentric, I suppose.
And very well spoken.
Very well spoken English lady. She seemed very educated when we used to talk to her. She knew a lot about a lot of things.
She was, and just dropped out of society. She could be probably well qualified to do, maybe from a very good family, but just opted out. Because life is often, you come across people that are very talented, but for some reason or another they just lack whatever it is that keeps people kind of straight, and they opt out. But they do have a part to play, and there's no harm in them. And that lady that was attacked in such a dreadful manner, I hope she's getting treatment from medical people so that she's not going to be suffering pain at her age. She's a marvellous person to be still going around at 85 years of age, but to be attacked by 5 bousies, thugs, reprehensible human beings, to attack an old person or any person, which, because it does happen in this country regretfully.
It's incredible.
We have an epidemic of antisocial behaviour of one kind or another, but the like of that, because of its severity and the age of this defenceless poor woman, to be attacked by 5 savages. Now, they should be known to the Gardaí if they know anything. I don't think they know too much, because nobody ever sees them on a beat or doing their duty in any town or village where they're supposed to be out in the street and get to know people. They're sitting in stations, twiddling their thumbs, instead of being out on the beat. I don't know what's wrong with the superiors at that force, because take Navan for example. There's 94 of them there in Navan, and you might see 1 or 2 in the morning or some time during the day when there's absolutely no trouble. And they seem to just going around and not talking to anybody or connecting with anybody.
When you say going around, they're going around, the Gardaí are going around in a car, is it?
Well, no, I saw a couple walking there once or twice, and but they're not connecting with people. They're just going around like as if they're obliged to do it and not be sitting on their backsides in the station. Because my father was a guard, and years back, and he was stationed in College Street for years before he was transferred down the country to Limerick and then Boyle, County Roscommon, where we spent lovely time. But he, when he stationed in College Street, had to do night duty, 10 to 6, in the month of November and the month of February, and he would have been down the north wall checking all the buildings and making sure that there was no intruders and that. And if there was a problem occurred, they had whistles. Mm-hmm. And they also had battens to deal with if they were attacked or anything. So they blow the whistle. Another Gardaí that would have been on the beat in some other adjoining area would come to their aid. So they had to do that duty, and they might have got an hour for to go and have something to eat. But an inspector could call around to make sure that they were actually doing what they were supposed to be doing. So discipline was enforced them times. Now we don't see any on the street, on what they call on the beat in these towns and villages that I've been in and go through, and I never see anybody. And as a matter of fact, anybody you talk to, even business people, actually don't know the names of the local Gardaí if there is a Garda station in the town. I'll give you one example. We grew up in Boyle, County Roscommon, and we lived beside the Garda barracks. We used to play football in the barrack square, and Gardaí would have to do what they call barrack orderly in the stations, and include my father, who we lived beside the Garda barracks, so he'd have to be in there. So he was available if there was any disturbance at any hour of the night. He was there, and part of his job was to sort of, though they had a bed, could have a sleep in the day room, where the public would be coming in. So they took their security and the safety of the people very serious. I don't see any evidence of that nowadays.
Okay. What would you think of private security?
Well, there's quite a amount of that around private security and text alerts and community alerts and all the rest of neighbourhood alerts because people have to sort of take their security into their own hands. I recall some years ago in Bunclothing, County Wexford, shopkeepers had to sort of take it in turns to patrol at night time because all their business premises was being robbed. And it kind of stopped it when they were on patrol because they had a direct line to the Gardaí. But by rights, the Gardaí should have been doing it. It's not up to the citizens to be going around trying to adopt security. And many people now have alarms. Nearly everybody that has their own house has an alarm. Aircom, or whatever they call themselves now, were always advertising a fitting alarm, and it's everybody will be alerted, and they used of ads showing where the robbers was there and the Gardaí arriving and all the rest of it. So, I mean, you can take it like that people now are having to do that themselves and pay money for it, and pay alarm companies to maintain the system that they have. Shopkeepers have CCTV cameras and all the rest of it because they have to have some kind of proof that a person is actually robbed, and the CCTV camera will provide that proof, but that costs a lot of money. So the place has been devilled with security, and part of the reason is because the Gardaí are not out doing their duty on the street and getting to know the public and who the miscreants are.
I think most people in Ireland would agree that the attitude of the Gardaí is very poor, and I'll give you an example. I know a woman, she's about 75 years old, and she rang the police station 4 times in one day because it was the gun shooting season. And the Bank Garda, the same Bank Garda, she got through to on the 4 times, and on the 4th time the Bank Garda told her, if you ring the station again, we'll arrest you. I mean, that is terrible.
Well, of course it is, because she was doing her duty. I rang a station one time here, not that long ago, and there was a suspicious activity that I saw, and in the normal course of events, if a Garda was on the beat, he would have probably spotted it as well, but I saw it. And I rang the Gardaí, and the Pan Garda said, well, has he committed a crime? No, well then that was it, like. Now, she might have been the exception. I think other ones take the thing more serious, but you never can tell. And I've come across a person that rang a station in emergency, and a station that had Gardaí in it, and because they didn't answer the phone. So they had to ring 999 and get on to somewhere else.
How would John Malone change the attitude of the Gardaí? Does it start at the recruitment process, or where does it start?
Well, it certainly should start there, and it should be examined, especially psychologically and all the rest of it, that they're there to serve the public and protect the public. not be driving around in cars, because when I was in business and had to drive the customers in the country, I had to drive, but generally speaking, before I was in the town, I parked and got around the town so as I could know who was who and what was what. And that was a simple, common sense approach to adopt, so as you knew something about the town. Many Gardaí now know about the town. As a matter of fact, I don't think they're going around anywhere. Nobody knows who they are. They're driving around in cars. Some of them are nice enough, I'm quite sure. But I notice when I do visit a station, there's far too many sitting on their backsides in the stations instead of being out. Now, I don't know what they're up wrong with their superiors, but it leaves a bit to be desired. And of course, don't forget, the former Commissioner Callanan, I think, when was the Commissioner, and then the Minister for Justice, Alan Chatter, closed a lot of Garda stations and even took away the business of a microphone that you could leave a message. So it left a lot of towns and villages without any police protection. And now a lot of towns only have one policeman coming for a few hours in a day. So people naturally have to have this text alert and community alert and devil knows what to try and have some protection, because the Gardaí are not there providing it, which they did years ago, and that's why we had no crime and no murders and no antisocial behaviour.
Wait, let's go back to the recruitment process for a second, okay? The Gardaí, we were talking about, they do have like these various tests that you have to fill out, and if you ask, they have questionnaires. But one of the problems is that all these questionnaires are now readily available on the internet. So you can actually fool the system. You have an idea of what's coming up in the tests. You can practice and practice and practice like any other job. So maybe by making sure that these tests are as confidential as possibly can be would improve the recruitment process. What would you say to that?
Well, I'd say it should be self-evident that should be a matter of course, that aside from passing the exam, excuse me, aside from passing the exam and being the height and all the rest of it, because there was a requirement to be 5'9", but I believe that was done away with some time ago. Some now you have some small guards, you know, they're not 5'9", they're not even 5'7". So you have that. Now, quite frankly, there should be, as they're being trained in there, it should be a probation period, so that their psychological profile and their business of serving the community, not sort of going around in cars or whatever it is. By all means, some of them are important to go on something very serious, or to transport a prisoner or something like that, but I think it's overdone. I prefer, most people would far prefer, and they've indicated that numerous times, that what's wrong with them not being out in the street? We know, for example, a couple of years ago, they did over 1 million false tests for driving offences or for alcohol related, and they were doing it themselves. Now, we haven't heard a word about that, but we know if anything happened in the Catholic Church, we'd hear about it morning, noon and night. But we don't hear anything about all this sort of carry on. So I suggest that the Garda station that was closed should be reopened and start with Gardaí that go out on the and in the street and get to know people and get to know who the miscreants are.
And we wish Jenny Powell well in her recovery.
We certainly do, and we have our prayers definitely for her, and also for that unfortunate referee that was attacked, and his picture was on the paper there recently. He was attacked by 5 thugs and beaten senseless.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much.